to the Cocoa Crafts YouTube channel. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Where is my hair? So if you know me from before the pandemic or mid-pandemic, you would be like, we know you, Anna, you always have that hair. It's fine for us, no worries. If you're new, you would be like, what is happening? So I used to wear a pixie for years and years, maybe 10 years, I don't know, when I was living in London. So in general, people know me, and if you see my pictures from my patterns, they usually are with me with this short hair. Longer, shorter, but you know, the same concept. Within the pandemic, when I was in the pandemic and I was living in London, I remember we had 3 lockdowns and all the hairdressers closed, which of course is the least of the worries that you had at that time, but that made me not having the hair that I wanted to have, because when you have this, the hair this short, you have to trim it quite often. I used to do every 3 months to keep the shape and everything. So I couldn't do it at some point because of all the lockdowns. So I was just like, okay, let's let it grow. And then I moved to Amsterdam, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's keep, let's the hair grows and grows and grows. And suddenly it was quite long. And then we moved to Madrid, where I am now, just temporarily. So hopefully I can have some news about that soon. Talking about the hair again, I was not feeling it. Not because I'm here, but just I was not feeling myself. I was always with my hair up, like tied up or something, because I hate having my hair around my face or on my neck. When I was working, I also go to the swimming pool a lot and I exercise a lot, and having long hair was honestly really annoying. And I don't know, I was just looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, who is this person? I don't know, I felt like I needed to get pre-pandemic Anna back, hair energy and hair maybe cheerfulness. I know this sounds absolutely silly, but to me it's not really. I don't know, it's like a change that I really needed to feel a little bit more energetic, and that I was, making a change and feeling more like myself again. So these are all the reasons behind the haircut that you were not asking for, but I'm giving all the reasons to you just in case. So yeah, that's why I have short hair. I hope you think it's fine. Today I'm wearing these hair clips. I love wearing hair clips, so just to finish my looks and these kind of things. But sometimes I just wear it like it is. I have a little bit of a fringe, and it's gonna get longer in like this no time, because in 3 months, in February, I'm sure that I will be like, I need to trim this again. But I don't know, I'm really happy that I have my pixie again. I think that it was like my signature thing when I was in London. My haircut was something that I did many years ago, like maybe 12, 13 years ago. I decided to do like a proper pixie. Before that it was just like in between, so it was a little bit strange, but then I was like, no. So yeah, this haircut is back again, and that's it. I'm not gonna talk about it again. So the reason for this video is quite different to all the haircut, even though it can be a little bit related. I have my little notes here. So I have been wanting to do a mental health blog plus a sewing crafty journey for quite some time. I did a video 6 years ago or 7 years ago, and you really like it. I mean, I remember a lot of people writing comments and telling me it was really useful. It was a different time in which the algorithms were not killing everything that I tried to post, because that is happening everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, I don't want to even talk about Facebook. I don't even have Twitter or X anymore. But anyway, I thought that maybe it would be useful for someone if you want to spend a little bit of time with me just listening to my mental health journey and how it relates to sewing and crafting in general. It's like a kind of refresher of that previous video. So yeah, just a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm gonna talk about yeah, my mental health, about anxiety, mainly about anxiety, a few feelings, and also about medication. So yeah, just so you know that I will be talking about that. If you're not ready to hear any of that, that's totally fine. So of course, skip this video, and I will see you in the next. So yeah, I will be talking about that, and hopefully it will be of help to someone. Thank you for watching, and then we start. Okay, so I was just reading this, just thinking, what am I going to talk about? Sometimes I write things and then I never actually follow them, and I just go with the flow. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because you see I have like all these notes here, but I'm just gonna start. So I need to start talking about my anxiety, because that started way before my sewing journey. So I think the moment that I knew something was happening to me, or that something was kind of wrong, was when I was 18 to 19, or maybe 19, I think I was already. So I was at the end of my first year at university. If you don't know, I studied journalism at university in Spain, in my hometown, and I did some internship during that summer between the first and the second year. It was quite stressful. It was quite a packed summer with lots of learning and writing, lots of things that they didn't tell you at university. It was very intense. So I remember clearly how by the end of that internship, I think it was already like the end of September, I was starting my second year at uni, I was not feeling well, and I didn't know exactly what was happening to me, but I was feeling quite restless. It didn't have to be something strange to me feeling restless, because I'm a very active person. You can say nervous, you can say I'm all the time moving, and I do things all the time, from the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to bed. I'm very active, I'm all the time moving. I'm someone who feels things a lot. I'm also a perfectionist, and I'm impatient, which honestly, how you can be a perfectionist and then impatient? They just don't work together in my mind. No. So I'm just like, why? So since I was a kid, I was like very active, nervous, and I was already a perfectionist, and I wanted things to be a certain way. I'm also quite a controlling person, but not in the sense of controlling, like, I don't know, what my partner is doing or things like that, but more like, I need my house to be a certain way, I need things to be clean, I need things to be in order, I need to have a structure during the day. I love routine, it's like my thing. I love having everything under control. So lots of things to mix up, and just thinking about it, you can tell how I'm breathing in that way of, wow, this is overwhelming being like that. So I started feeling not well. I think that at the beginning it really affected my sleep, and then that became a little bit of phobia for me. I've had a sleep phobia, which means a fear of not being able to sleep for many years of my life, and I think my the whole of my adult life right now is much different than it was. I still have a little bit of that fear, but I think I've changed quite a lot. So I'm now 40, and I'm talking about a time when I was 19, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, it really affected my sleep. So my cycle was, if I don't sleep well, then the next day I won't be able to perform in whichever thing I need to perform. Of course, doing things the best way possible, going to my internship or going to class and doing exams or whatever. So it was like a horrible cycle. I had times at uni that I was well, that my anxiety was not really bad at all. I used to go out a lot, so I had a lot of fun. I have to admit, I used to love going out and going to clubs and dancing and all those type of things, even though sometimes when people learn that from me, they're like, I cannot really see you in a club. Man, I was really good. I was like giving my everything, dancing, and all the things that sometimes students do at university. But I had a lot of fun. But yeah, that first year is when I discovered anxiety for the first time. That that I was conscious that something was different. Maybe I already had it since I was a child, I don't know. But that's when I was more conscious about that anxiety, and it was incredibly scary. I had a few months that it was absolutely horrendous. My parents didn't know really well what to do, because 20 years ago it was not the same as it is today. Even today it's a little bit taboo talking about your mental health, so imagine 20 years ago. And I went to the doctor, they gave me medication, which was just, this medication that they give you to calm you. It was not an anti-anxiety medication, it was not an antidepressant, it was just to calm you for certain moments. Okay, I took it for some time, some months, and yeah, it did something, but of course I needed proper work, which I didn't know that I needed it, and neither my parents. Poor them, they tried their best to help me, but yeah, I was crying a lot, not sleeping properly, I was really anxious, and I had this thing. I always feel, there is something that Pedro Pascal, this actor, has said sometime, that here is where his anxiety lives, and I felt so seen because my anxiety lives right here. It's like a mix between my stomach and my chest. So yeah, I had something here living with me. Suddenly I had this friend telling me, hey. So yeah, it was really scary. But suddenly I was feeling better, so I was like, okay, that was just like a fluke or whatever, a time in my life. I was just stressed out because of this show, but my pattern of being the perfectionist and all the things, I just kept going and doing all the things, the same things. I finished university and I already had met my current husband. I think I met him on the third year at uni, and so we moved together to Madrid, and there I started working, and I already could tell that my friend anxiety was there, and I was very strict with myself, very hard on myself regarding my job as a journalist and writer. I used to work for fashion magazines and stuff, something that sometimes I don't even remember the Anna journalist, and it's like, how did I do that for so many years? Why did I do that? It was so horribly stressful. It was not, I think for me, it was not my world, and then we moved to London. And I love that because it was like a fresh start for me. I was not having a really bad time, I was okay. And then in London, before London, sorry, I forgot. We lived in Madrid and then we lived in Barcelona. When I was living in Barcelona, I had a crisis, that's what I used to call them. So I had a really bad time with my anxiety. And at that time, I did something about it. I didn't take medication at that time, but I went to my GP and she told me there are these mindfulness classes, and I was like, what is mindfulness? I didn't know anything about mindfulness, and she was like, go to these classes, they work on the breathing, they work on the self-consciousness and all lots of things. I think it will help you because you're very stressed out. And I was like, okay, I'll try them, and I really, really loved it. Till this day, to this day, I still meditate, not every day, but I try to do it once in a while. And they taught me quite a few things, writing my feelings and things like that. And yeah, it really helped. I also went to see a therapist. It was not my first time, it was the second time, because the first time was when I was at that point at university, but it was a psychiatrist because I was taking medication. So to be honest, that man didn't help me at all. It was just like, I thought it was, I just, right now as a 40-year-old woman, after everything I've learned and I've had to live regarding my anxiety, I'm just like, I don't know how that man could be a doctor or whatever. He was not empathetic, it was horrible. Anyway, so he didn't help me. But this woman I saw in Barcelona, she was incredibly nice. I just saw her for a few weeks because then I moved to London. And she told me something very important, which is part of all this related to crafting. She said, Anna, you need to find something out of work that gives you happiness, because right now you are only finding happiness if you perform at work. If your articles are good, if people tell you, people pleaser, hello, I'm here. If people tell you like, oh, you've done an amazing job, and okay, so I was like, that's interesting, because maybe you won't believe this, but I didn't have any sort of hobbies prior to that moment. Yes, I used to work out, swimming, but not proper hobbies. Reading, the only thing, which is something that I still do today, and which I love reading. I read all the time that I can. But I didn't do anything. I didn't know how to sew. I didn't know how to knit. I didn't have any interest. I felt like... So she told me, find something. When I was living in Barcelona, I said, okay. I went to a shop in the center. They were selling like beads and, like leads to make necklaces. I saw this idea maybe on Pinterest or whatever. I don't know if Pinterest existed already or not. So I saw this idea, which was necklaces made out of beads, but with like skulls and then feathers. You're hearing right. I was making feathery, scully necklaces with beads and stuff. Very embarrassing, but hey, it was something. She said, try something with your hands. I always, all my life, I had always thought that I was really bad at anything crafty. Anything to do with my hands is not me. I'm all brainy, so I'm not good at that. And also I have a father who is an amazing artist. He draws, he paints, he does sculptures. So I was just like, no, that's him. I don't know how to do any of those things. Anyway, so I started with those. Then we moved to London. When I was in London at the beginning, I of course fell in love with the Great British Bake Off. So I was like, I'm gonna bake. And honestly, it was really fun. I'm really happy that I did that, because I bought like lots of stuff that I still have, like, I don't know, cookie cutters in the shape of something funny, and then lots of things to make cupcakes and cakes. And I went to, for those who live in London, Hummingbird Bakery, Primrose Hill Bakery, and I don't know, I used to love it so much. And I used to bake a lot, but there was a point in which my partner was like, how to eat all the things, because we didn't have at that point many friends. I mean, we just arrived, so he was like, you cannot eat all the things, we cannot eat all the things that you cook. And I was like, did you bake? And I was like, okay, that's right. So I was just trying to find something to do, and something else, a hobby. And I was still working as a journalist, but as a freelancer, writing for Spanish magazines. And then I just saw online a sewing class, beginner sewing class, and I was like, okay. It was a so over it when they had the shop in Clapham, the first shop. I think they opened and I went there, took their first class. I think it was like that. Basically, and I know this sounds cheesy, but I just absolutely fall in love. I was like, when I entered the shop, I saw all the fabrics, and also I loved clothes. I used to try and buy clothes, and even though I didn't have much money, but I was like, fashion, I always liked the concept of fashion, And I was like, this is my thing, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. So I really honestly fall in love. We made, I remember, a cushion, and then a little pouch with a zipper. Then my boyfriend, well, now husband, partner, he gifted me a sewing machine from John Lewis. It was a Janome, which my mom now has. She has that Janome. And I started sewing, and I remember the first dress that I made, it was just like, honestly, like a sort of, it was A-shape. It was from a Japanese pattern book, so I was like, I really love Japanese stuff and the styles and everything, like quite simple but cute. So I made a dress like this, and I used quilting cotton, of course, what do you use first when you started making your own clothes? Quilting cotton, really stiff fabric. Honestly, it was summer and I was like walking like this with this dress, doing like this, and it was really funny. So honestly, really something changed in my mind. Also that time, I think it was right before I started doing the sewing, I had, I think, what I can say, the worst anxiety crisis I've ever had. So there was a point in which I felt, because I think there was a point in which I was so afraid of everything that I couldn't leave the house. So anytime I had to go somewhere, and in London everything takes like so much time, I just couldn't breathe, because I was like, I'm so far from home. If I have a panic attack or an anxiety attack, better explain, is their difference. An anxiety attack, it's gonna take me ages to go back home. So I never went anywhere, because for a month I just stayed home. And to me, that's like the opposite to who I am. I'm all the time going places and doing things because that's just who I am, and I love that. I couldn't do any of those things. I just stayed at home, crying basically, feeling absolutely horrible. I remember thinking, I'm not gonna get out of this. I really felt like that. I was like, that's it. And I went to the GP, and at that time I said yes to the medication. It was different. So the doctor was absolutely amazing. She was very kind. She listened to me and she said, Anna, I think, because I told her all about my past, and she was like, I think you have reached a point in which maybe the things that you have been learning regarding mindfulness or the other therapy activities that you learn from your therapist, those tools that I use till this day, she was like, maybe they are not helping you because your anxiety is beyond that. And I was like, yeah. So she gave me medication, and it's called citalopram. Maybe if you have ever taken it. So, and I say this proudly because I really needed it. I mean, I was not able at that point to get better without that. So I'm really happy that I took the decision. Also, they explained to me that the medications these days, for example, for anxiety, are modern. They are not going to give you like the withdrawals that you think they might give you. It's not like in the past. And I was like, okay, she was like, this is not Prozac or other things, maybe older type of medication. And I really trusted her. So I started taking it, and it took me a few weeks to get used to the side effects. And then is when I went to the sewing classes, and I remember like it is today, one day that I left, maybe it was the last class, it was 4 weeks, I think one day 4 weeks, in the afternoon, evening. I remember leaving one of the classes and just like stopping, looking at myself and thinking, I feel good. And it was such a strange feeling. It was a mix of the medication and something that I discovered that just changed me. It was just like, I feel fine, I'm good. And I will never forget that moment. I honestly felt so excited about life and things and everything. It was like the best feeling I've ever had. Even though I've had many amazing, nice situations in my life, I will never forget that day. Honestly, I'm just almost getting a little bit teary thinking about that moment. That I was, yeah, I felt so good. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is this moment. I want more of these moments, you know. And yeah, then my boyfriend, husband, partner gifted me the sewing machine. I started sewing. And then I decided to create Coco Wawa, but at the beginning it was a fabric shop. I also used to sell yarn, like recycled yarn, and all the fabrics were organic, and you know, it was a little bit different at that time than it was today, that you know, everywhere you can find, almost everywhere, all those type of, you know, more specialized materials. And then at some point I was really frustrated about my career as a journalist. I think the journalism thing was like the source of lots of my unhappiness and anxiety at that point. And even though I was still taking my medication, I took it for 2 years and a half. And yeah, it was just something that I could not really live with. And I also started working as a proofreader for a Spanish magazine based in London for an airline, and the environment was absolutely horrendous. I remember I was bullied by someone who used to bully everyone, but so that was not very helpful. And then my side of craftiness was growing and growing and growing. I was sewing more and more and more. I was discovering a whole new universe that I didn't know existed. Honestly, when I told people, yes, there are indie pattern companies making patterns and there are craft fairs, and this was not the knitting and stitching show of today. It was something very different, I can tell you. When I went to like the previous old, like maybe, yeah, 10 years ago or 9 years ago, 8 years ago, knitting and stitching shows, they were not like the ones today, which are much more like modern and they were not like that. But I felt like I was part of something, and that made me feel so good. I felt like, okay, so being a journalist is not the only thing that is going to define me. Making clothes and creating things with my hands and knitting and doing embroidery, and then my world just expanded, and those things are going to be the things that are going to make me smile as well. So honestly, it was just incredible. And to me, I think one of the most important things was the community. Even though the act itself of sewing by myself or creating things, it was the online community, which to me is lost in these days of how Instagram it is right now. I think it is really sad because I really felt part of something, and I don't feel part of anything today, to be honest. I know there are people there that I already know from before, and I know I can talk to them and this, but I don't feel the same way, and it's quite sad. Also because now I have like a business and I work full-time since 7 years ago. Wow, it's so different. So, but that feeling of community, when we did the London Stitchers meetup in London with my lovely friend Georgia, who is now living in the south of France and has a lovely baby boy, and I don't know, it was honestly the best feeling ever. I really miss that. It's something that if I could, because some people are, if I could go back to being, a baby or 5 years old or going to uni to have fun and partying. To me, if I could go back, I just could go back all, before the pandemic and when we were doing all those things, because I really, really, really enjoyed them. It was like my favorite time in my life. Honestly, I think it's my favorite time ever in my life as a person, as a human being. Those years of going to events and doing classes, and I remember going to the new craft house as well, and I started teaching as well. When I was already working on Leave for Coco Wow, I started teaching children. I don't know, it just feel like that was my moment of, wow, I really love this, and I was part of something, and it felt amazing. It was incredible. So I think that really helped with my anxiety. Of course, I still felt it. I still went to therapy. So I think I saw a couple of therapies, because what I've learned is that with anxiety is a cycle. So you have times that you're here, you have times that you're here, and you have times that you're going to be up there again, even though when you're there, you're like, I don't think I'm gonna be up there again, but you will. So yeah, I still have anxiety. I learned that that's just who I am, and I'm trying not to fight it. I remember when I discovered Headspace, the app, I also use Calm sometimes. When I get bored of Headspace, I go to Calm, even though Headspace to me is like the best one. I really recommend the Headspace app. It's worth spending the money. And yeah, I remember that the owner, the creator of the app, he said that don't fight the anxiety, don't fight the feelings. And I used to want to fight it, to just get rid of it. I was like, why don't you go? Why is this feeling with me all the time? What is happening? And I learned that it was so much easier to just let go, accept that it's there, even though what I'm saying is not easy at all. It is incredibly difficult, and it doesn't work for me at all times. It's just sometimes. But now I think I'm more like at ease, accepting that that's who I am. I have anxiety. My anxiety is here with me. Sometimes because it's a she is a little bit jumpy, and sometimes she's calm. And I also have learned that when she's jumpy, it's because I'm maybe overstretching myself, not sleeping properly, trying to do too much, comparing myself to others, thinking too much about the future. I mean, I have so many things. I could be here till tomorrow. Things that trigger my anxiety. So yeah, I'm still trying to learn to accept that that's it. Sometimes he's like, hey. Sometimes he's like, you're doing good. I'm calm here. So yeah, I know that crafting is has been a huge part of the journey of my accepting who I am, and the community has really helped me, and it's something that I think that since the pandemic started, I think that I had a lot of virtual classes and that helped, but then I don't know, it was a little bit strange. Then when we were in Amsterdam, I felt better again because I used to have quite a lot of classes, and I think it's the socializing, even though I think I'm an introvert, I need to still socialize, of course. And yeah, and then when we moved to Madrid, here it's been a huge, really big change. And the idea that we had, the plan that my partner and myself had, didn't work out at all. And we are now getting ready to leave again, and it's quite probable that we will leave Spain again. But I will talk about that when the time comes, hopefully at the end of this year, beginning of the next. That's what we aim for. So now I can tell that the moments that I spend crafting, not sewing, because I think I've lost a little bit of the love for dressmaking, because I look at my wardrobe and I feel like I have so many clothes already that I don't feel that need for spending money in fabrics and then making more clothes. But I have to say that quilting has really changed me quite a lot. It is even more heartwarming to me than making clothes, and that's why I changed a little bit my business, focusing on quilting. I think that I find the process of cutting and planning incredibly relaxing. From a business point of view, and then a maker as well, I don't need to worry so much about sizing and what people will say. Is more, I don't know, I feel more free. I feel like this freedom of more creativity. I love also combining in colors, and I love discovering new fabric brands, and I love creating my quilty designs. I also love to apply the quilting to clothing. You see my sneakers, the nutmeg quilted jacket, and I've made so many pouches and stuff for using the quilting technique. My partner was saying one day I'm gonna come home and everything is gonna be quilted, and I was like, maybe, you never know. So yeah, right now I'm not at my best mentally. I'm actually struggling quite a lot, because I think that the realization of that plan that we had not been possible, and feeling quite frustrated about it and not knowing exactly what the future holds has really messed up my levels of anxiety. I think my worst moment was at the beginning of the summer. I was absolutely in pieces and crying and not feeling well, and you will be thinking, but it's incredible that you don't show any of that on Instagram. And I was like, yep, because I don't feel comfortable showing my sadness or weakness on Instagram. I'm not that much of a share. In this video I feel different because I'm trying to help someone if I can with my experience. So yeah, the beginning of the summer was not good, and I had to start taking medication again, and it was a very difficult it was very difficult to accept that, incredibly difficult, because I felt after I finished that other time many years ago, I was like, I won't need it again. Well, yes. And I remember the doctor told me, Anna, it's totally fine. And also I'm taking less than I used to take. I was like, is this going to do anything? Because this is so little. He was like, yes, it will. I think that, this with therapy, I've been doing therapy, but not that much this time. I was a little bit tired of talking about myself. It really it drains you talking about yourself. When I had to maybe change therapy because I was moving somewhere else. I was like, oh my god, I need to go to this person and explain again. But I will always recommend doing therapy. I think it is incredible, and don't worry about changing if you don't like the person that you get at the beginning. Just change. So that's fine if you can, of course, because I know that some health systems are not very good at that. And I'm now a little bit better. Autumn came because I hate the heat, and the summer here in Madrid, it was absolutely horrendous. I spent 2 whole months at home, so it was like the pandemic. And now I feel better, now with my new haircut. I feel more like energized, and now I'm doing my crafts, continue with the business. Now we are moving forward to living here, to leave this place finally, so I feel more excited about the near future and the changes coming. So I think that also is working in my favor. I feel much better than I was feeling at the beginning of the summer. I'm also trying to enjoy seeing my family more often, my parents, now that I'm in Madrid. For the time that I still stay here, I keep seeing them a little bit more often, even though they live in a different city. So yeah, I'm just trying to, continue, move forward, keep going. I think that's something that if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, whatever it is, and I'm not talking about more, I was gonna say serious, but I think anxiety and depression are very serious, but you know what I mean, more mental health illnesses that require really something else, something more. So I think that's different. But hopefully, if you can relate to me in the feelings that I've been explaining with anxiety, what I can say is this: just be kind to yourself, please. And I'm saying that to myself. And be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Do the things that you love. If you like sewing, crafting, whatever it is, knitting, cooking, baking, walking, reading, swimming, whatever it is, spend time doing that. Trying to find time for that if you can. And just meditate as well. Go to therapy if you need to. You feel like you need to talk to someone. And also, if you have to take medication, just take it. When you have a headache, you take a paracetamol, ibuprofen, whatever. I suffer from migraines, and I take medication when I suffer from migraines because they're bad and they don't make me feel good. So I take medication and I talk about that. So I'm now saying I need to take medication now, so I take it for my mental health, for my anxiety. So just go and do it. There's no shame at all. There's no shame. It's absolutely normal that you want to take care of your health, your mental health, basic. So hopefully with all that, you won't feel that backpack that you are carrying every day, that it feels like it's body full of stones, very heavy stones. It's a little bit lighter, and that you can walk, feeling a little bit more free. So yeah, this is the longest video in the YouTube history. No, I don't think so, but it's very long, so hopefully it won't be boring for you. And yeah, just if you wanna send me a private message, you wanna comment on the video, just do it please. You can go to Instagram and just send me a DM or send me an email, and I will be very happy to reply. And yeah, hopefully this refresher was good. I'm sure that I've left things out that I wanted to say, but it felt more natural just to tell my story, even though I had to jump back and add things. Hopefully it was helpful for you, and yeah, I will see you soon at some point. I think there might be a tutorial, yes, on how to copycat a jacket that I'm going to copycat a Uniqlo, like this puffer, but not the proper puffer, the thin ones. I'm gonna copy that one and make a lilac version, and then maybe another tutorial before the end of the year. Hopefully I will make a video telling you where I'm going to live next. Fingers crossed. Although I think you will see that more on Instagram first than here. But anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my mental health and craft journey story. And I will see you at some point very soon. Please take care. Bye.